Do I need to read anything else, John, or can I bring on Courtney with Mark's Murder Monday?
It's time to move on.
Okay, thank you. I feel like that's a drop. It's time to move on as a drop. Please welcome the princess of murder. She is my darling in life, and she is Courtney, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah. She is our true crime devotee, analyst, and storyteller.
I am.
Yeah, this is a start of a new franchise, Mark's Murder Monday.
Yeah, I never thought that this passion of mine would be the first time that I would be on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
this
is pretty
exciting.
It is pretty exciting. We're going to need to get a Now, I've mentioned this before, and I'll just do it in 30 seconds or less. Courtney doesn't like to have her picture taken when we're in public. We're together, even group pictures. She always gets out of the picture. It's kind of awkward sometimes, in fact. But that's the reason she's not on camera right now. And we also don't have enough for a second camera yet. We got to dress that area before we can have a second camera anyway. So, but we will, Courtney, you will provide some kind of pic so that we can post it in the future.
Yes, okay. There's a lot to live up to. So being your partner, I think.
Oh, well,
people have a certain expectation.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you. There's so many people too. Yeah. Anyway, that's
thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Courtney. All right, Courtney, what do you have for us today in the way of murder?
The murder I chose today was because after nearly 50 years, they identified the victim last week.
Oh,
and what I thought was particularly interesting was that the lead suspect was from the Bay Area and was a radio host.
Oh, my God. That is unreal.
What? So for those reasons, I thought that this would be a really interesting story.
My God, you've got me.
I know.
All right. I'm ready.
It's fantastic.
Let's listen to this story.
And I will say that some of the sources I used were the SF Gate and the Californian. So if anybody's interested in reading more about this story, but after nearly 50 years, the Lady of the Dunes murder victim who remained unidentified was identified last week. So the story is on July 26 in 1974, a 13-year-old girl was walking with her family and her dog. And
we have the picture. We have the picture up now. If you're watching on YouTube,
there you go. And at Race Point Dunes in Provincetown, stumbled upon what she originally thought was a dead animal, but it was unfortunately a gruesome scene. There was a woman laying on a green beach towel, and she was clearly dead. She had been nearly decapitated, and her hands and some of her teeth were missing, and actually her hands were buried in the sand with pine needles around them, almost to make it look as if she was doing push-ups, but clearly to make it more difficult to identify the body.
Let me just say at this point in the story, this is why I don't listen to these podcasts or watch this stuff. It's so gruesome and awful.
Yeah, but I think in many ways, I don't know, fans of true crime are listening to it to obviously solve what has happened, and stories like this help to make sure that the person who perpetrated the crime will go on to be punished for that. But I'll get into that in a second on who the lead suspect is. So she was about 25 to 40 years old. She had auburn hair, was wearing blue Wrangler jeans, and had a blue bandana. There was no signs of struggle at the scene, so they believe that she might have been there laying on the blanket with someone that she knew, and this person attacked her. And it was only last week, through genetic genealogy, that they actually took her, some of the DNA, and were able to match her with a living relative through one of these genealogy sites, one of these ancestral sites. Yeah. Wow. So her name is Ruth Marie Terry. A few months before she died, she married a man named Guy Rockwell Moldovan. And this is the connection to the Bay Area. So Guy was not a good guy. In 1960, he was named a suspect of the disappearance in his second wife and her daughter. Ruth actually went on to be his third wife. And in some of the media reports, when they were talking about him as a suspect in his second wife and her daughter's murder, they reported him as a sometimes actor and DJ, an antique dealer, and a, quote, con artist and great lover, which I thought was a really interesting title to give to him.
A con artist and great lover?
Yeah, they were married, the two. I don't know if someone gave that to him or if he sort of gave that to himself, but the police searched his home at the time and discovered human remains in the septic tank. So it was pretty well known that he had killed his second wife and her daughter. He was also a suspect in a murder of a truck driver and that truck driver's girlfriend in Humboldt County years before. This gentleman, or this man, I should say, Guy, he was a radio show host in Pacific Grove on KAZU, and he lived in Salinas for 22 years. That's actually where he died, and that's the connection to the Bay Area. Yeah.
A radio host.
I know.
With the remains of people in his septic tank or whatever. In his,
Do you guys have a septic tank?
We do not, John. Please.
We used to. But we do have a radio host. We do. We do have that. I'll quickly mention, just because there's another connection to the show.
And Little Anthony.
Yeah, Joe Box and Little Anthony are
but I'll just mention that actually Joe Hill, who is the son of Stephen King, famously theorized that the Lady of the Dunes was an extra in Jaws. There was a woman who was an extra in Jaws, and she had auburn hair and was wearing Wranglers and a blue bandana. And it was actually Carl Gottlieb, who I know is a friend of the show, who was the screenwriter of Jaws, that went back to look at the production notes to see if the timing had aligned on when Jaws was shot and when this murder happened.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll have to ask Carl about that.
So there's a bit of a rumor around that. I don't know if it is in fact Ruth.
And we have it up again on the screen. If you're watching, you can see I guess that's the woman the extra in Jaws in the film.
Yeah, exactly.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I've definitely heard of that rumor before, and it doesn't mean that that's not Ruth, because they actually didn't take the names of the extras in shooting Jaws, so it very well could have been her. There were about 100 miles between where Jaws was shot and where the murder happened. But her husband died in Salinas, I believe in 2000. So unfortunately, if he is the perpetrator of this crime,
justice can't really be done.
Justice won't be served.
He got away with it. Well, it's interesting that with a trail so clear, it would seem. I mean, with other allegations and evidence that he was involved in other past murders, that there wasn't sufficient linkage to prosecute him on this. Or you're saying because she wasn't identified?
She wasn't identified.
Yeah, that's just.
She was only identified this past week, and so,
because of the lack of DNA at the time.
Yeah, because of it. They exhumed her body in 1980, in 2001, and in 2013. So actually, the lead detective at the time when the murder happened, from what I heard, he kept her skull in his office for 30 years to remind him every day that the death of this woman, she remained anonymous and it remained unsolved.
Wow.
And so it was a very, unfortunately, well-known crime in Massachusetts. And so to have her identity and to have a man who died and wouldn't be able to have, justice served is unfortunate. But I imagine it's better for the family to know what had happened to their relative.
That is brutal. That really is brutal. Gosh. Well, Courtney, thank you for that.
Of course.
I thought your debut went very well.
Oh, thank you.
Supporting visuals, which we very seldom get.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that was very, very nice.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll come next week with another murder.
Yes.
Yeah, very exciting. And if anybody has suggestions,
send them to us. Well. You can reach the show at, what's the address, John? The Mark Thompson Show?
The Mark Thompson Show. The Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah, the Mark Thompson Show. You have to write that. If you don't write the, then it goes somewhere else.
I wonder if we're going to be seeing a bunch of these old cold cases like this solved because of the use of genealogy. It seems like more and more we're finding that, and that's fascinating.
Yeah.
If you love Courtney, as do I, smash that like button for Courtney.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, no, are you kidding? We love having you here.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Courtney,
you guys.
we love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And good times with Courtney, everybody. Yeah, what do you think?